Ready to go, mate?
Yep, on you go, mate.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Celtic Unrestricted View podcast. My name is Ryan Clifford. Well, it's a big pre-match podcast this Sunday morning with myself, Ryan, and William Glavin. It's obviously the pre-match on the game at Hampden versus Hibs. Again, William, obviously we've had the last-minute winner against Ross County. And now obviously the cup final. Obviously we'll get into Ross County a wee minute. But obviously, cup final, big day for Celtic again, William. Another chance at more silverware.
Yes, it is. It's cup final day. Really looking forward to today's game, to be honest, and I'm really excited about the prospect of hopefully Celtic winning the cup final today and Ange getting his first trophy with the club, and I think that'll be a testament to all the hard work he's done since he's came in, and the challenge he's had in front of him. So for him to be in this position today, hopefully in touch and distance of getting this trophy, and hopefully the boys can get the game over the line today.
As you were saying, it's obviously Ange's first cup final. For me, it's a major chance. Obviously, we're still behind in the league, but I would say it's a major chance to maybe put a wee statement down. As Charlie Adams says last week or so, Celtic need to make a statement, and I was like, well, Celtic have already made a statement. They've won 8, 9, 10 last trophies in this competition, so in the cup final. So the statement for me is just about us obviously winning, and I would say maybe put a marker down. Obviously, not ourselves, William, when we won the Big Julian, the cup final, that was a marker. Yeah. I would say obviously we didn't play well, but at the end of the day, it's all about winning. It doesn't matter how you perform as long as we win and get that first trophy. And I think it does give you a bit of momentum, obviously, to based on next year, because the game in January is obviously, that's maybe the next. Obviously, every game is a big game, but obviously that's the game we're all looking forward to. And I think getting to that game where I would say a final win under our belt is obviously going to help us.
I definitely agree. I think that winning today's game would breed confidence within the club and within the players and the team and the coaching staff there. I think it's a very important prospect of doing that. It is a challenge today. It's not an easy game because Hibs have got nothing to lose, and obviously there's a few players there who want to prove a point. Because I know that Jack Ross is really well linked at Easter Road, and I think a lot of players probably feel bad about potentially letting them down because they've run a really bad run, other than they get the semi-final when they beat Rangers. So it's going to be a tough challenge today, but I totally agree with you, mate. I think that to win the cup, obviously win the cup at this stage of the season, there's a lot of games coming up over Christmas and New Year. Obviously, we've got the Glasgow Derby coming up in January as well. So we really need to win this today. And as you said, I think this would put a marker down for this season. And I think that the players would breed a lot of confidence if they get this over the line.
Because obviously, as you say, some of the players, it's kind of a brand new regime for them. Some maybe haven't been in a cup final in their lives. I don't really know the full depth for that, but obviously guys like Ralston who come back and he might play again. Guys who obviously they've experienced this, but they've not maybe played in a final for us first hand. And obviously it'll be a big atmosphere with most Celtic fans. I know Hibs have gave some tickets back, so it will be a mainly not a home game, but it will maybe feel like a home game with the fans as well. So obviously the only thing you maybe know what your favour is. Will we have a striker? I think that's the big thing. Will Kyogo play? Even if he is fit, do you risk him? Do you even play him? It's a catch-22. Do you sit with a bad up front, but then is Forrest going to be fit? Is Johnson going to be fit? That's probably the only stumbling block is maybe the team, because I think on form we're doing well. I know we only beat Ross County with a goal, but we were comfortable. I didn't think we were showing any nerves. I think we were showing anything that we're going to concede a goal, apart from obviously the goal that happened. So I like to think we're going to this a bit of form. But I would say the only thing it's stopping is that up front. It's whether do we have a striker? I don't know, because I can see that it's affecting the team because we're not playing the same way, because we've not got the high press. Obviously we had it for a bit for Ross County, but you've not got that high press for Kyogo's take you right up the park. And I like to think you lose that. You lose that with a striker. And obviously Hampden's a big massive park, so whoever is up front, if it isn't a striker, it's not a graveyard shift because you might have a lot of the ball, but if they're up front themselves and it's not their position, you will need to make changes because after maybe 65 minutes, alarm bells will start ringing.
I think that's the big challenge for Celtic today is to overcome the cup final, potentially not having a striker or a designated striker or natural striker on the pitch. So I think that I think it could be a batter again. I think he might stick with that. It's a good question, Ryan. Like, even if Kyogo's half fit, do you risk him because you potentially lose him for the Rangers game coming up in January? It's a big challenge, to be honest. And for me, I think I would probably keep Kyogo on the bench and start with the team we had against Ross County, see how the game evolves and develops. And if you're getting to 55, 60, 65 minutes, you're not really producing a lot on goal or missing clear-cut chances, then do the change because it needs must in that moment. But thinking about the way Ange approaches games, I think he really deals with games in the moment. I think he'll not even be thinking about the Rangers game. Us fans will be because we know how important it is. But I think Ange tends to keep the players grounded and say, right, well, this is the challenge we've got in front of us. We need to overcome this, and then tomorrow we'll deal with the next challenge, which I don't think is a bad thing. So it'll be interesting to see what his team selection is like today. But as you said, Kyogo gives you so much more up front, especially without the ball. He's constantly pressing the centre backs, the goalkeeper down. He's got really clever movement in terms of the high intensity press, and he forces mistakes for the opposition, which means that we regain the ball back, and then we can then attack. So you do lose that from him, as you say. Abada was doing that a bit the other night. I think whoever plays that role, Ryan, needs to do that until they're done effectively and say, right, that's me, I'm no more fuel in the tank. They just need to run themselves into the ground and keep forcing errors with the opposition, turnovers, that we get the ball back, and there'll be opportunities for us. So it'll be an interesting one to see how it goes. But listen, if Ange decides not to play Kyogo, then I think that's a fair enough decision. But if he does feel as if he needs to use him, then and he's fit enough, then great, we'll no doubt be better for it.
I do agree with you when it comes to, do you play him if he's fit? Or I know it's every game's important. This game's important. The Hibs game, the Hibs game before New Year's important. The Rangers game is important. But sometimes you do need to look at the bigger picture. And if you can survive on playing Abada up front, or if it is Mikey Johnson who's up front and fit, whoever it is up front, if you can survive and win the game with that, then and maybe have him on the bench to play 10-15 minutes near the end. I'd rather have him 10-15 minutes a bit near the end than put him on like he did against Betis and then he pulls up. So I think that maybe that is, obviously you're not worried, but it's a wee bit of a stumbling block because you don't even know the team. You don't know if he's going to make changes in midfield. Will he play Beaton? Will he play Rogic? Because he was on the bench against Ross County. And I actually thought Rogic made a difference when he came on the night, William. I don't know what you think as well, but I thought he brought a bit more, it was a bit of oomph right away as soon as he came on. He was creating chances. Obviously, the winner, that was through him. So I think he gives you something different. And obviously, Hampden's a special place for Rogic for the goal against Aberdeen. So I think I'm not saying it's fate, but I think it's one of the games where if he plays, I know you've not got a striker, but he creates chances for you no matter who's up front. He'll have the ball at his feet. He's very, very good with the ball at his feet. I think he's an absolute magician for me. I know he was nearly sold, and looking back now, it would have been a really, really stupid thing to do.
Yeah, going back to Tom Rogic a few years ago, I thought he was finished at Celtic, to be completely honest, and I think that one of his main criticisms used to be that he would never last a full game, and a lot of fans would really go on that. But when he was on his form and fit, he would score so many. I've lost count how many important goals the guy scored for us. Obviously, you mentioned the Aberdeen Cup final. I was at that game myself. There's been goals at Rugby Park to win leagues. There's been goals at over at Ibrox, and the derbies that he's done. A bit of magic, and you know what? I used to always say if Tom Rogic could be fit and play 90 minutes every week, he'd be an outstanding player. But he's doing it. He's doing it under Ange, and I don't know if it's an effective way. And maybe Ange knows how to manage him. Maybe he feels confident with Ange because that was his national team manager. Whatever's happening this season, this is the best of Tom Rogic, without a shadow of a doubt. Because, as I said, he's had moments of magic throughout the years, but he's doing it consistently for us just now. He's playing really, really well for us just now, and I really hope it continues over the course of the season and he remains fit and healthy. So, yeah, as you said, all is not lost because Kyogo isn't playing. You're going to have Tommy's going to be having opportunities at goal. He's going to be creating chances. I think that he'll become a key player for us today if Kyogo isn't playing. But obviously, he needs to support and cast round about him to be doing the business as well. Obviously, McGregor getting involved. You know, if James Forrest is playing, get Forrest involved, but Forrest being a bit more direct. So I think that, I totally agree with you, mate. I think Rogic could be a big player for us in the cup final today.
Because me personally, I'm even going to try and figure out a team, because I don't think Ange even knows what he's doing when it comes to the team, because
I know
you don't know who's going to be playing up front. So it kind of derails, but you've kind of got to balance out the rest of the team, because you've got to balance out who's up front. So, but I do think obviously Hibs, you've still got to give them respect. As much as we are the better team, as much as we are Celtic, and we should be going into this game confident, going, now we're going to win. Hibs will come here, like we've seen, obviously, the Rangers game, absolutely done Rangers a turn. Rangers were very poor, to be fair, but as much as you want to think we would play like that, it just shows you what Hibs, if they turn up on their game and we don't, it will be a very, very hard game today.
Yeah, definitely. It will be. Listen, they're playing in the cup final as well. That's a chance for them to get a trophy. Obviously, they're without a manager at the minute, but they've got a club legend who's looking after the team just now until they find the right man to take over. So, listen, they'll be giving it everything today, without a shadow of doubt. You saw how they played against Rangers in the semi-final. You know, when it's knockout football and there's a prize at the end of the game, teams will raise the level, irrespective of what they're doing in the league just now. But I know they've sort of get back on track under David Gray there. So, listen, they're going to be going for it. So it will be a tough game for Celtic today, but hopefully we can prevail.
I think definitely it will be a tough game. I'd like to think we would have most of the ball, but it's a cup final, as you say. It's knockout football, anything can happen. Hibs can start quick and puts in the back fit. But for me personally, I've always said, recently under Ange, I'm sure not just under Ange, I think it's maybe the last 80 odd games. I think as soon as we score first, I don't think we lose a game. I think I seen that start the other day. That's a cranky start. So I think it's like 75 games that are 80 odd we've won, something like
Right.
that. So
Wow.
that's obviously goes for you as well. So I think as well, if you start, I think recently under Ange, when we've started quick and we've got the first goal, we've just been relentless. Again, but you've no got obviously Jota and Kyogo. So I think Jota's a big miss. I don't really realise how, I think some fans realise how big a miss he is. I think I've really noticed it against Ross County. And what he brings to the team is phenomenal. I really do hope we can get him for what's obviously quoted, £6.5 million, because if we can, I'm not saying it's a bargain, but it's a bit of a snip. I thought at the time when we signed Edouard, £9 million, I was like, why are we paying that money for a guy who's unproven? But as much as people might give Rodgers a bit of stick, he was right when he says Edouard is one of the best talented players he's ever worked with, because you could see that, and he turned out to be an absolute bargain at £9 million. So Jota, in my opinion, I don't want to say a bargain because he's no signed yet, but it could be a very, very, very good snip by a transfer if he can get us for that price.
Yeah, I think they've got to just do that now. I think a lot of Celtic fans are asking for the deal to be done. For all we know, it could be happening behind the scenes just now, Ryan. So, it's got to be done. As I said, Jota came highly regarded through Benfica's academy system, and it was almost touted to be the next Cristiano Ronaldo. And if you look at the Portuguese press and speak to the Portuguese press, that was what they were touting this guy as. He hasn't quite hit the heights of where he should be, but he's obviously found a club in Celtic where he's enjoying his football, and you can see that in the way he plays. He's such a creative player, and as I said, he's got that bit of magic about him as well, that he can get goals or he can create something out of nothing. As you said, in the Ross County game, you could have done with someone like that just to unlock their defence, because as you know, when Celtic go to places like Dingwall or they go through to Almondvale at Livingston, these teams just sit, everybody camping their box, and it's like, come and break us down. You need players like Jota and Rogic and whoever to give you a wee bit of magic. So, I think they've got to do it. I think that's a sensible option, is if they've got the deal agreed with a loan, it's part of the loan deal, for €6 million or £6 million, whatever it is. I think it's I definitely it's worth doing, given how he's been playing for the first 6 months of his Celtic career.
Because even today, I think obviously Hampden's a massive park. I like to think the pitch will be really, really watery. So It'd be a really good game, obviously, for the way we like to play. And you like to think if you had basically your full bifters out, it'd be a lot better for us. I think you'd be a bit more confident. Obviously, you're still confident because you're Celtic and you should be going to these finals confident because in the past we've won most of the trophies the last few years, so you need to be confident. So, but again, you've to obviously need to look at Hibs. You've got Martin Boyle, will Nisbet play? You've got Doidge, will he play? So they've got a lot of attacking options up front, and obviously Boyle's really, really quick. But I think the advantage we've got again, maybe the now, obviously left back, we don't know what the Scales, will the Taylor, will Montgomery go to left back? We don't know that type of how we'll play that. But the right side, we're really quick. You've got Juranovic, Ralston. Will we play that again? Will we play Ralston right mid? Will we play? You've got options there now, and like we didn't have last year. We didn't have these options now. So, but I think you can maybe combat the pace because you've got Ralston and obviously Juranovic, so you can combat Boyle's pace. But I know some fans were talking about maybe Boyle in the summer and this, but Celtic, and this is maybe a day for him to maybe step up and say, listen, I can play at this level. I can play with Celtic, but me personally, when the rumours were kicking about, I was like, no, I don't fancy that. Some fans were saying they're getting this bit 500, $1 million, $2 million, you sign him. I'm like, me personally, I was like, I don't fancy it. I would have rather kept Lee Griffiths. Obviously, no, I wouldn't because he's obviously doing a different way to Dundee. So, but these are the guys who could step up for Hibs and give some problems.
Yeah, no, definitely they are key players for Hibs this year. I do like the boy Doig, to be honest. I do like him, and I think he's got a lot about him in terms of attacking play as well. I think he's got a bit to learn, obviously, I think from a defensive perspective, but I think he is a good player. I do like him. I think Martin Boyle causes problems for teams because he's so quick. He's one of the quickest. He's got to be one of the quickest players in the league. For his out and out pace, but he scores a lot of goals and he knows how to use his pace. It's not like he's just like, what's the word? Like he understands how and when to use his pace. He's got a bit of intelligence about him in terms of how he moves and where he moves to and when to use it at the right time. You get players out there who are ultimately quick. Who I remember Ollie Buck when he came to Celtic was absolutely rapid, but he never knew how to use it. You know what I mean? And that's a big difference. So I think Martin Boyle is a good player. I think he's stepped up his level since he's been called up for Australia. And you can see that he's got a bit of confidence in his game. Nesbitt for me is, I remember seeing Kevin Nesbitt playing for Partick Thistle when he was in the academy, and he had something about him, and I did like him back then. And I think he's done really, really well from where he's came from. Do I think he's got the ability to go to Parkhead? I don't think he's quite got that yet. If he was scoring the amount of goals Tory Watt scored just now, then you'd probably say yes. But I think obviously Hibs have been struggling this year in the league, so I don't know how many chances Kevin's had on the pitch and stuff like that. He obviously can only score what's put in front of him. But I don't think he's quite at that level yet. But as you said, they are the threats from Hibs today in the cup final. And I think that we've got to obviously match them in that. And we've got to dominate those duels on the pitch.
And obviously as well, a former player, Scott Allen, I know he's not played too much, but if he does play, I didn't think he got a chance really at Celtic under Dyer. I thought he was a really good player when he came. Obviously, we don't know if he was signed because Rangers started getting. We don't know what the ins and outs, right? We don't know. That's just maybe just fan talk and a bit of banter. But
it makes you think, Ryan. It makes you wonder why we did sign him, though, doesn't it? Because, like as you said, Lawwell and I think was John Park maybe there then. I think he might have been. In fact, John definitely was there. John Park was there. Obviously, he looked after the recruitment side for Peter. But it makes you think when they sign a player, you know, you really want to get your new sign into the team straight away because you've identified that okay, we're weak in this area. We need to improve there, or we need cover, or whatever. But Scott Allen's got ability, and I've always said Scott Allen's got ability, and he's a really good player. And listen, he's had ups and downs his career, which is understandable and fine in the modern day game. No one can sustain it for such a high level unless you're Cristiano Ronaldo or Leo Messi. But he has had ups and downs. But it makes you wonder why we did sign him, and that because Tyler just didn't fancy him at all. I can't remember a game. Was there a game he started? I can't even remember many of them, if any.
I'd honestly need to look back because I can't remember. I know but I do think he's a very, very good player. I don't think he's up to the level now, but I think when he did sign for us, I thought it was a good sign because he was doing well at the time.
Yeah.
So as you said, it does make you wonder as well. Like you said, obviously you know more about that kind of side of the football. But why would you identify a player? You've obviously signed them because you've identified them to play them, and then no get a stiff. So it's similar like the new, like these guys at Sheffield Wednesday. You've signed Liam Shaw, the right back as well. You've signed him, so and they're not getting a stiff. But obviously they're maybe signed for further down the line. But
I think they are.
See, it's obviously it's Celtic now. I know you've got to build your academy up. You've got to build your reserves. I know you've got to do that, but the way we are at the moment, I think we've got to sign guys for the new. And all that. But I know you've got to plan for the future. I know that, and I understand that. But the way we are the new, try to get obviously into the Champions League and get the big payday and win the league. I think we need to get guys for the moment, and then maybe deal with that side maybe next year once you know where you are. Because if you're, for me, if you're leading up to something, I know you need to build further and build a plan and process past that. But I think it's not all about this season, but I know you've got to plan for the future. But I think everything's got, and especially January now, the signings need to be just for the next 6 months to win the league, and then you can plan and deal with that. But it's going to be, I just don't know when it comes to obviously that type of a signing. If you identify them, sure you identify them for a reason, and then no play them. So it is a bit of a myth why didn't he play.
You would, mate. Obviously, you know I'm doing a bit of scouting for another club in the Scottish Premiership, and basically that's how they approach it. You know, and they're obviously different to Celtic because a lot of clubs, most clubs, unless you're Celtic, Rangers, or maybe Aberdeen, maybe even not Aberdeen. Most clubs run on a season by season basis, so a lot of players, you very rarely get a player on a 3-year deal, right? You maybe get a 2. A lot of the boys are maybe on a year because clubs don't know where they're going to be in 3 years' time financially. Do you know what I mean? Because look at Kilmarnock, you know, we're doing really, really well under Stevie Clark, and within a few seasons they're in the Championship, which is a complete and utter disaster.
I just seen that last night about Tommy Wright as well.
He's been sacked. He gets sacked. It was a game not abandoned. I heard something about the game was abandoned because of the fog, and they sacked him straight away. So they look as if they're going to struggle to come out of there now. If they can bounce back up, then they've sort of saved the day there, and financially that'll work because there's such a huge gulf between the Premiership and the Championship in Scotland. But as I was just going to say there, when you're identifying players, the club that I do a bit of work for, and most clubs in Scotland, will generally identify players who can either come in and make an impact now, or they're going to replace someone that's going to leave. So if a club are sitting just now and they've got 4 players out of contract who are playing every week for them, come run about the January window, clubs get a decision to make. Clubs get a decision whether they go, well, the players get some interest with 3 or 4 clubs in England or whatever. They want to do a pre-contract, but maybe we can speak to them and say, look, can we get 100 grand out of it? And you can take him in January, because that helps them financially for the season going ahead. So what is so the scouts and stuff, what we're doing now and what I'm doing now is identifying players for certain areas on the pitch that I'm being told to look at. So obviously that's as a plan B or a plan C if that player then does go. So getting back to obviously Celtic and the Celtic's approach, obviously this season when the 2 boys from Sheffield Wednesday came in, they came in before Andrew's even appointed, if I'm right in saying that. I'm pretty sure that was the case. So, but also, I think Liam Shaw was done a few months ago before the season had even finished. So that whoever's made that decision has made that decision at that point in time. But then when Andrews came in, you can see that Andrews went down a different route in terms of the type of player he's wanted and looked for. Now, I saw a bit of Urhoghide playing for Sheffield Wednesday last season, and they actually played quite well in the Championship. That being said, they ended up relegated, so it wasn't as if he was playing in the best team in the Championship. But they've been a club struggling financially for a while now. But Urhoghide has got something about him. I think he's really raw in terms of his ability. But I think Celtic's probably a good place for him to come. But the key thing is he going to get enough games? I actually think I wouldn't be surprised, Ryan, if Urhoghide maybe went somewhere on loan and just spent 6 months. Look, Tony Ralston's done it. Tony Ralston might have done United. But Tony Ralston went a couple of clubs, I think. And it's done him well. Callum McGregor's done it, and it's done him well. So it's not a big deal for the boy, because I think they got 4 or 5 year contracts. Mm-hmm. If they can go out and develop and play somewhere, because it's all great doing everything on the training pitch, but they've got to play games and build experience. I think I actually expected Liam Shaw to play or be around the squad a bit more, but But again, it's a signing that's been made before Ange's even there. So Ange might look at him and look at the system differently and say, he doesn't really fit, or he's not quite at the level that I need. So the recruitment side has been a bit strange at times at Celtic. It looks a bit disjointed between if it's a John Park or a Peter Lawwell or a Ronnie Dyler with the Scott Allen case, or if it's obviously Ange and Michael Nicholson and whoever else is involved in the recruitment side. But I think Ange has got a bit of control over that. It has been disjointed, so obviously we do need Ange's input when we're signing players going forward, which I do think will happen. But yeah, as I said, it's obviously a bit of a strange one when we signed the two boys Sheffield Wednesday and they haven't played, but I just think Ange doesn't believe they're at the level where they should be at this moment in time.
Aye, and the only reason I'm not saying his name is because I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to make myself an absolute embarrassment. So I'm sending you right back. But I agree with you. I agree with you. The game against Betis, I thought the first half he had a bit of a howler. The guys next to me, I was like, he's putting his hands out all the time. He looks, he was blown. Obviously, it's his first game at that level, and but the second half, I thought he played a lot more better, especially his positional sense. Whether or not he's up to the level yet, I don't think so. But I think, like you say, I think maybe a 6-month loan deal at the end of the season, maybe a team like in Scotland, like Aberdeen, St Johnstone, or even down to the Championship, bottom level. I don't know, but I think maybe that's a plan. And I think Ange did mention it. I'm not sure if that is a plan, but
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised about that at all. Obviously, Ayer did it as well, mate. I've just remembered Ayer did it. He went to Kilmarnock, didn't he? So, listen, it's probably the next step for the boy, I think, going forward.
And obviously, back today, we don't know the team, how it's going to work out. But if we just need to carry on for obviously what we've been doing, and as much as we've only been maybe scoring the odd goal the last 2 or 3 games, the amount of chances we're creating, even we didn't have a cycle on night and we're creating loads of chances. So I don't think creating chances is a big problem, William. I think it's the actual being clinical. Even last season we had that issue with a few games, especially against Rangers, where we created chances and we just didn't finish. It's a cup final, so it's not about winning 3 points, it's about winning a trophy. So for me, Hibs might only get 1 or 2 chances because the way we play, we might have a lot of ball. So when we do have a period of time where we are, the back door is getting absolutely burned down, I think we need to create a lot of chances, but take our chances. I think that's the main thing, because it nearly haunted us the other night against Ross County with a lot of chances and we didn't create them. We didn't finish them. So I think that's the big thing today is when we get a chance, a clear-cut chance, we need to finish it. I know in football we can't finish every chance. It happens, goalkeepers make saves and whatever else, but I think we need to, when we get the vital chances, we need to put them away, because Hibs, as you mentioned, with the pace, with Royal, technically they're very good up front, so they will have a chance, and let's be honest, they might take a chance, because as much as we have been very good defensively, we are liable to see a silly goal here and there. As on the night we've seen it, Scales let his man go away and boom, it's a goal, and we're very, 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 very comfortable as well. So I would say we need to be more clinical today, and I think that's the main thing. If we're clinical, I think we win the game. I know that's easy. Like I say, that's Michael own shit. If you score, you win the game. But I think you just make me more clinical in our chances.
I think, I agree. We've got to be more clinical than we were on Wednesday night there. I think it's up to someone to step up, Ryan, for me. It's someone, whoever's going to play that role as the number 9 or even part of the attacking 3 or whatever the way we're going to play it. Someone needs to step up today, and it's a big opportunity to make himself a hero. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully we get a good, nice early start and we come out the blocks flying as we have been doing this season. And I think if we get an early goal, I think it should be quite comfortable for us. But as you said, listen, we've got to cope with the threats that Hibs are going to throw at us. They're going to give it a right good go as well. So it'll be an interesting game to watch, mate. But hopefully at the end of it, we're lifting the trophy.
Definitely. And obviously talking about interesting, the Ross County game. It was very, I would say, heart-clenching stuff near the end. Very, very... Obviously, the last-minute goal, and obviously, bit of backlash about celebrating stuff. But listen, any level of football, last-minute goals, it's an unbelievable feeling. It doesn't matter who you're playing. That's the way it should be. But obviously on the match, I thought we did play quite well, considering obviously the injuries and no striker. And I thought Abada did play the role quite well in a way. I know he's a bit raw as well, I think, but I think ability-wise, I think he has got the ability to be a very, very good Celtic player. I just think he needs a bit more, I would say maybe coached in his role, because he is a bit of the place. He is going up front, he's going out wide, I think maybe because we were used to Forrest and Sinclair, Tierney and Lustig, and they were brilliant defensively and attacking. Together, Tierney, Sinclair and Forrest, it didn't matter who played, they done the same role. But I think now, when they're chopping and changing the new, you've seen it with Bad, obviously Bad was up front, but out the wings with obviously Montgomery and Hingme, who's it wide again? Can't remember who's it wide again. But they don't get the same, it's not the same path of play. When you change, it just shows you when you put these guys in, it's not always the same.
No.
But I think on that game as well, obviously, I know we've spoken about referees. Really, if he didn't help the pod, did he? I don't really want to get into referees because I spoke about it in the last podcast. But before the goal, that is a Stonewall handball. Again, we didn't get it. And then they get a penalty. We had Alan Moore, the referee, yesterday. We didn't get one. Again,
was it Alan Moore yesterday?
I'm sure it was, aye.
I never saw that. I never saw the penalty yesterday. I did see Tam Coates come out and said it was a Stonewaller, and I heard on the radio that it was a Stonewaller, which is fair enough. But listen, I know we'll not dwell too much. I put a thing on Twitter about it, and it almost exploded when because Alan Muir was he done the byline for the Inverness game when the handball. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not one of these people that will sit here and say there's a conspiracy, right? I'm quite sceptical on that. But from my point of view with referees, and this is the only thing I'll say on it, because obviously we don't want to dwell too much on it. They're just not good enough, Ryan. They're just not good enough. Whatever the reason is, I think it's more incompetence than anything else.
Yeah.
And there must be a failure somewhere in the system for them to make so many bad mistakes. Even going back to the Aberdeen game last week against St Johnstone, they should never have scored that goal. The guy practically caught the ball in his hand and scored. And St Johnstone are now bottom of the league because of that. Do you know what I mean? Or partly because of that. But there's the Aberdeen player being shoved by the Dundee United fan who then gets sent off. That's fucking crazy. So where do you draw the line and how do you fix it? Who knows? We could sit here all day and talk about this, Ryan, and we would never find the answer. But something needs to be done because the standard of refereeing in this country is shambolic, and that is how I see it. And it's not just Celtic decisions. As I just mentioned, 2 examples. It's 2 decisions that have happened against other clubs. With Celtic, but Celtic have had so many bad decisions as well. But as I said, mate, something needs to change drastically. But who knows if that will ever happen? Do you know what I mean, mate?
Definitely. And obviously on the Ross County game, the goal we conceded, I thought was very. It did come out the blue, but it was very poor. A goal conceding, it kind of puts you in the backward step, especially getting up well already. A few players down, and I kind of thought that the goal that we've scored the last minute, it could be a massive, massive, massive goal for us in the season. Even though it was a last minute goal and we just won the game, but it's the momentum that carries on for that. A last minute goal, the momentum that carries on into the next game, and it could be a massive, massive game for us in the season because obviously Rangers got points yesterday. It's basically 6 points. I know you've only won 3, but you got points yesterday, and then you've got that during the week. It's here we go. That's us. But you get a win against Rangers and Hibs, and it brings you back into their tailgate. So it's very, I think, a massive, massive. I'm not saying it's a turning point this season, but it's a massive 3 points. I know it's only 3 points, but the way it happened and the way we've been without our players really, 2 or 3 players injured and no playing at full pelt, come back and stop and start. It's a massive win for the season, I think. Yeah,
we had to win that game in my opinion, Ryan, even before the game, like earlier in the week. That was a key win, a key game. I saw a lot of criticism, well, not a lot of criticism, but I saw Tom English putting some stuff on. You all get opinions about Tom English on Twitter. You know, down at the bare bones, I think Chris something called it, and he tried to call him out on it, saying, you've got 7 or 8 international players in the team, and hold on a minute, Tom, you could have 7 or 8 international team, but if they don't play in the right position, surely you're doing it the bare bones.
Mhm.
Somebody else came on and said, "Oh, you spent 2 million in him and 1 million in him." But again, if the player's never played as a striker or a left mid and he's a left back or whatever, how can you turn around and say you're not doing it the bare bones purely because they play for the country? Absolute bonkers.
But see, on that, right? Betty Vogts, sorry, with Scotland capped everybody. So just because you've got a cap or you play international football, it doesn't mean you're good enough. It doesn't mean anything. You've got guys who are playing with, I don't know, Jamaica, Japan, or China, whatever. But these guys just get caps all the time. Some guys play in the shite leagues and they get caps. It doesn't mean you're good enough.
Depending on the country.
It's like for talk's sake, you've got Beaton and you've got maybe McCarthy. I know McCarthy isn't playing, but he's a lot in international caps. But as you say, Abada's no a striker. And
exactly.
Up front. It doesn't matter if he's had 50 caps for Israel or 1 cap for Israel. That's not his position.
We had,
know what I mean?
Yeah. We had half the team, almost half the team were fullbacks in the game the other night. Do you know what I mean? There was only 2 fullback positions. So it was going to the bare bones because we're having to throw people into areas that they've never been familiar with before. But anyway, just to go back to the game, it was a massive win. We had to win that game because it was right before the cup final today, and we need to keep on the heels of Rangers as well. As I said, I think I maybe said this in the last podcast, they're scraping by games just now. Obviously, I know we scraped by the game on Wednesday night as well, but I really fancy us against Rangers in January. I think that we're obviously getting wins, and listen, all good. People say, if you win the league because you always grind out wins, but I think if Celtic can confidently defeat them, I think it might take the morale out of the club there, and I think Celtic have got a really good chance to win the league this year. I genuinely never thought this would happen, Ryan. I never thought we'd be in this position because I thought it was just going to be too much of a rebuild for Ange. But where he's got us to at this stage of the season and how close we are to Rangers at this moment in time is giving me a lot of confidence in his ability as a manager. So, but yeah, as you said, the game was huge for us the other night, and it was great that we prevailed. And by the way, how good was it, Tony Ralston scoring the winner? This is the guy I've been talking about all season. And there is still Celtic fans out there, and you know who you are because you're giving me pelters on my chat. There is still Celtic fans out there today that are criticising Tony Ralston, which I can't understand completely. Could not understand that at all. So it was great to see him pop up with the winner. Absolutely brilliant. Well deserved for him as well.
See, I put into it as well. I basically says that obviously we've all gave Ralston a bit of stick. He probably gave himself.
Yeah, we have.
But
yeah.
It just shows you football changes, and now I basically put on Twitter we've got 2 brilliant right backs now. We've got Ralston who has stepped up to the mark. His deliveries are fantastic. His energy, he sees build up as well. And then you've got Janovic, who's Croatia's right back. So you've got 2, and let's be fair, Ralston should be Scotland's right back now. I know you've got Nathan Patterson, right?
Definitely, mate.
I know we're the one here to talk about Rangers, right? Nathan Patterson as a talent, there's no doubt, but he's hardly playing with Rangers, right? So how can you play with Scotland? How's that possible? He's played how many games? 15 games or something for Rangers? I don't know how many games he's played.
I don't know.
Ralston's playing basically week in, week out now. He's playing at a higher level. He's playing in Europe. He should be in it, especially in that Scotland game. He should be starting. Because he's probably the best right back on form. If you want to go with stats, he's probably the best right back we've got.
He is. He's the best right back. He's definitely the best right back that Scotland can pick right now, based on his form as it stands right now. I'll be shocked if he's not selected again and if he doesn't play. But as I said, he wasn't picked until somebody was injured the last time round. But he's miles ahead of Stephen O'Donnell over at Motherwell for me this season. As you said, Nathan Patterson hasn't played a lot though. Listen, there's no doubt in that boy's got a talent, and the boy is a top prospect coming up through Rangers. But yeah, Tony Ralston should be getting picked for Scotland for me, and he should be playing for them right now based on his form.
And even his goal the other night, I even said it to my old man. He had no right to win that header. It was desire, it was hunger. I want to win that. I want to score, and that's what's in the team now. I think, like Ange says in pre-season when he was doing the mic'd up session, basically we keep going.
And that's to the final.
Before last season, that was always Celtic. We always got last minute goals. We always had last minute chances. We always went even with Rodgers. We won games last minute goals, and we've always done that. And that was lost at his last season. Again, is it because now we've got the team spirit? We've got the manager who believes in the players, and the players believe in him. And I think as well, I think I seen a quote from McGregor the other day. He basically says that when the players trust the process and the manager trusts the process, it all binds together. So I don't know if that's a dig as well about last season, that there was no process, there was no plan, it was just turn up and play. But we can see this year there's definitely a big plan and desire and hunger to win for the club.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, you can see that this year. As you said, we obviously getting a 96-minute winning goal in the way that it was done, and the way that Tony Ralston, it almost jumped another metre above himself, do you know what I mean, to win the header and get there. But you said that's just out the desire and wanting to win. And I think that I agree with you. I think you can see there's a process there. Celtic are now, the players especially, are now taking in what Ange's telling them, and you can see there's a real belief in the team. And you can see Ange's doing what he's meant to be doing, and he's coaching them. Because I definitely believe Tony Ralston's performance this year have been down to him stepping it up and realising, look, this is probably my last chance to really do something at this club. And it's obviously a club he cares about, because you can see that in the way he plays. But I think Ange's coaching him. I think Ange's telling him this is how you play this role. Ange was a fullback. I've heard him in interviews before. He played that position, so he knows that position like the back of his hand. And he's coaching the young lad through it. And you can just see that through his performances this year. So long may it continue for us. And it's been great to watch him obviously do so well this year, especially coming through as he's come through the academy.
And obviously as well, the draw for the next round of Europe, it's been obviously drawn in is Bodo Glimt, Finn Holloway. I know we've been talking personally and stuff, and a lot of Celtic fans were kind of agreeing that it is a hard game, a team that we didn't really want. Obviously, I didn't know that they're kind of league stops and stuff. They don't play a lot of games that side of the year, so that'll benefit us. But again, you're going to the Arctic Circle. It's going to. I know people might say, "Oh, it's only cold weather. It doesn't matter," but it's going to be freezing. They've got an Astro Park. It's not going to suit us. But I know we're Celtic and we should be confident to beat anybody. But I know because of your kind of job and what you do and stuff with the scouting and stuff, and you obviously know a bit more about them, and they are very technically very good team and they're up and coming team in Europe.
Yeah, they are, mate. I know Bodo pretty well. I've been doing a lot of scouting in Scandinavia for a club, and to be honest, I knew a bit about Bodo because of where they've came from. You know, they've came out of nowhere. They've put a strategy in place, and the strategy's paying off because they've now won the league two years running. And they only came up into the Elite Series, which is like the top division in Norway, probably 4 years ago. They came back up from the first division after being relegated. So it's been a meteoric rise for them in Norwegian football. But they're doing it in Europe now. That's the big thing. They're stepping up. People will know. People wouldn't even hear about them until they beat Roma 6-1. But that's been coming for a while. They held AC Milan last year to, I think, maybe a draw. They almost put them out of competition last year. And then the AC Milan ended up signing their striker, Jens Peter Hag, and signed him. He's now on loan at Frankfurt, funnily enough. I'm not sure if he actually played against us. I think he might have played against us.
The wee blonde player up front?
Aye, blonde.
He was superb.
Good player, really, really good player, mate. He got a move to AC Milan off the back of Bodo, almost putting them out. So he did. But he's went to Frankfurt on loan, which probably suits him more because it's quite a young team there, and how they play probably suits his style of play. But yeah, I've got to know Bodo quite well. I've obviously, if anyone's seen it on Twitter, I've been doing these newsletters on teams and doing a wee team report, and the Bodo one seemed to get a lot of good positive feedback from a lot of fans, because obviously a lot of fans probably didn't know who they were, and obviously this is who we're up against. But yeah, in terms of the club, in terms of where they are, as you said, they're in the Arctic Circle. So if any Celtic fans, including yourself, are going, you just better wrap up, because you're almost up there staying next door to Santa Claus. That's how far up you're going. So it's a small place, it's a tiny town. They're the first club from Northern Norway to ever win the top division, which is quite a feat. Most clubs, most winners are sort of down towards Oslo in the south of Norway. There's a lot of clubs based down there. There's only Tromsø, I think, are the only club that's further above them. They're right up at the top of the planet. So it's going to be an interesting game. There's been a lot of talk about some of the players, and one of the players who I know we've spoke about as well, Ryan, that Patrick Berg was one that was always mentioned to Celtic, and for the life of me, I don't understand why we're not going or even linked with a player. So there couldn't have been anything in it for me, Ryan, because we didn't really hear any links other than what fans were saying. I think you had Ross from Boys Analytics was doing some good pieces on him, breaking it down what he does on the pitch. And do you know what? He's just such a good player, and it looks as if I think the deal's pretty much done. He's going to go to Lyon in the French Ligue 1 division. And he'll do really well there. I've got no doubt he'll do well there. But the thing is, he's going to go and sign for Lyon, who I don't even think are in Europe, or I don't think they're maybe sort of mid-table in Ligue 1. We could offer him European football. For all we know, we could be playing group stage in Champions League next year. So you think that's a big selling point to a player. So that makes me think that there's not even a discussion happened there. For the life of me, I don't understand it, but maybe Celtic just see things differently. But he's such a good player. But the good thing for us is he's moving. He's leaving Bodo, so he's not going to cause us any problems in February. But they do have some other threats. They're quite they play similar to the way we play in terms of possession based. They counter press like mad. If someone gets the ball, before you know it, you've got 3 yellow jerseys running about you, and they're trying to get the ball off you, and they're trying to force a mistake to create a turnover back into their possession. They've got some key players. They've got the boy Ola Solbakken, who plays sort of right mid, who's left-footed actually, who will tend to come inside, and his movement is tremendous, and he's such a good player. I think he might still be there, but come this time next year, I think Ola will probably get a move to maybe Germany or somewhere else. Or for all you know, Celtic might even go in for him, depending on how he does against us. And they've obviously got Eric Botheim up front, who was an up-and-coming young talent at the same time as Erling Haaland. In fact, I think the two of them are really good mates.
All right.
Eric played for Rosenborg, and he had a good couple of. He was one of these guys that sort of broke into the first team at Rosenborg, but then he just sort of tailed off. He's went to Bodo, and he's had some season this year, mate. He scored over 20 goals this year for them. He's banging them in left, right and centre. He's obviously getting a bit of support from Ola Solbakken as well. So I think it'll be an interesting tie for us. I think it's going to be a really tough tie over there because of the other factors. You know, they're used to playing in that climate. They're used to playing on that pitch. They'll have a bit of confidence with the home support behind them. But I think at Celtic Park, I think Celtic will have enough to beat them. But they are a good, exciting side. Their manager is... to be honest, I'm surprised their manager is a guy called Shale Knutson. I'm surprised he's not got a move somewhere. I know he was linked with the Norwich role just before Dean Smith got it. He was talked about there. I don't know if he was interviewed for that. But the way his team plays football is very, very similar to the way that we do it under Ange. And it's sort of the modern day way of playing exciting, attacking football. And they're absolutely blowing away teams in Norway. And obviously they blew away Jose Mourinho Roma over there. So that's how good they can be on their day, mate. But it's going to be a really interesting tie to watch. As I said, they've lost obviously Patrick Berg. They've lost their main left back Fredrik Bjorken, who signed for Hertha Berlin. He's another player he's a really top player. So that makes it hopefully a bit easier for us. But it'll be really interesting to see how it works out on the both ties, both home and away.
Because I think as well from the two games, because of the way the two teams play, I think there'll be a lot of goals. I don't think there'll be a lot of clean sheets involved in the two games. No,
I don't think there will be either, mate. I think that, as you said, both are attacking and play expansive football. I think there's going to be a lot of goals. There'll be a lot of chances, definitely in the game. And I said these guys at Bodo, they don't fear anybody that's in front of them. You know, if it's Roma, or if it's Celtic, or if it's whoever, they deal with who's in front of them, and they'll just try and beat you. And they've got no nerves or no sort of ill feeling towards it's a big huge club, it's coming here. They don't actually care or give a shit, mate, to be honest, the way that the mentality is and the way that's drummed out of them from their manager. So it's going to be a really, really good tie, and as you said, I think it will be quite an open match, but hopefully we can do enough to get through that one.
I think it's obviously vital that we get through it, not just to obviously get to progress in Europe, but I think for Ange as well, because I think if he doesn't progress, they'll be like, well, if you can't progress in this competition, what chance have you got of progressing in the Champions League?
He'll have his critics.
And I think it'll be more stick for us, and maybe on Peter Lawwell's back, he's wanting to be this big club in Europe, and he can't beat the lesser known teams, but he's expected to win Europe. So I think it's not a reputation thing, but it's to basically keep us in the European eye. If we can't through the Conference League, you're I don't want to say you're losing credibility, but you're losing a bit of a big club in a way, like they can't do it against us, but they want to strive to do that. So I think we need to do well. I'm not saying win the competition, but I'm saying you need to try and do as best as we can in this to try and obviously get a bit of momentum for Ange in Europe, and obviously for the players to get back into that kind of big night kind of thing at Celtic.
I think that's going to be tough. I genuinely do, because of how thin we are squad wise. I think any run in Europe, regardless whether it's the Conference League, Europa League, or Champions League, it takes it out. The players playing, the Thursday night into the Sunday, and I remember the year we got to Seville when we came away with nothing that year. We didn't win anything. We fell at the final hurdle. So it takes a lot, and we had a really good squad then. We had quite a big squad then. We don't have that this year. So yes, I want to see his progress against Bodo. I want to see us do well in every game, to be honest. Is the Conference League a priority for me? Probably not. I want to see us win the league more than anything else, and if that is going to jeopardise that, then I think we need to concentrate more on the league. But it depends on what we do in January for me, Ryan. If we're going to bring players in to, improve the squad from a quantitative and a qualitative perspective, both perspectives on that, then yes, we might have a chance. But if we're going to run with maybe one or two additions and we're not going to have much else, then I think it's going to be really, really difficult for us. Also, I don't think the draw was kind to us. I think Bodo, you'd said this as well, Ryan, didn't you? Like, we wanted to avoid them because they're a team that are on the rise, and they're a team that really want to go for that. But as you said, the good thing is they have not played. They would not have played a competitive match. Their season just finished.
Yeah.
Not this weekend. Last weekend they just clinched the league last weekend. So they won't play again until they'll probably have a few friendlies, but they won't play again until they play us. I think that we're maybe their first competitive game. That helps us as well. It's almost like us playing the Beaton at the back early June into the qualifiers. So we'll see how it goes, mate. But as I said, I get that there will be critics if he does get put out. Ange's going to have his critics, but from my perspective, it's all about the league, and I'm sure you'll probably agree with that as well, mate.
I think obviously on the league, if we do win the day, it's another kind of stepping stone to obviously more silverware for Celtic in the league as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I think if you win the day, again, we can't go on our season without winning a trophy. That just can't happen.
Yeah, 100%.
I didn't think that would ever happen in my lifetime at Celtic, obviously, because I've been brought up there through successful years than some other fans have obviously seen a bit of their doom and gloom to the 90s and stuff. So the fact that it's another chance to get another trophy, and I would say it's putting a bit of smile again back to the fans, because last year was doom and gloom, no trophies, everything went on. Obviously losing the 10 and no really doing well in Europe. Obviously I've done all right Europe, but to what we would try and get to. So another cup final, a victory hopefully. It's just kind of keeps the kind of winning mentality going that we've lost last season, and it puts that back on the pedestal. Yeah,
definitely. We need to, hopefully after today, mate, we've got that first trophy in the bag, and that gets us a bit of confidence to push on for the league this year. I'm pretty confident we won't finish trophyless this year. I think we will do it today, and I'm feeling more and more confident about the league as the season progresses. So it's good to see things happening there, but we do need reinforcements in January. January's a big window for us to enable us to do that. But yeah, I don't see us being trophyless this year. I think it gives an opportunity to hit the reset button, and obviously with Ange coming in, he's definitely done that. So hopefully this continues and we'll get a few trophies over the line, mate.
Definitely, I think the day is vital for us. I'm not saying if you lose it derails your season, but I think we need to win. I'm like you, mate. I'm very, very confident we'll win today. Hopefully up front, we're all right. I think that's maybe the only stumbling block. I think that maybe will catch us out, but I think William, I think I'm like you, mate. I think we'll do well today. I think we'll win, and obviously going forward into January, I think the reinforcements is a big thing. But again, mate, thanks for your time this morning. Take care and hail.
No worries. No, brilliant. Thanks again, Ryan. Speak to you soon, mate. So that was, mate.